Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today in this session. Thank you so much, everyone. We are going to have a fabulous next hour to an hour and a half learning about the importance of grant writing. I want to make sure that everyone can see me okay. And so in the chat, please let me know that you can see and hear me okay. So let me know if you can see and hear me okay into the chat. All right. Excellent. So I am here in Ohio. I'm Linda Peavy. I am the owner of LaPav Consulting, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself as we go along. Again, I'm in Ohio, so let me know where you're joining us from on this beautiful Saturday. Shout out. Oh, I see Delaware and Charlotte. More Charlotte, Tampa, DC is in the house. Cleveland. I'm right outside of Cleveland, New York. Detroit, Richmond, New Jersey, Chicago, land is here, Houston. So thank you all. I'm going to get started because this is like a no fluff zone. I have a ton of information that I am going to be sharing with you today. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen, and we are going to play just like a 30-second television commercial for my company. Again, I'm Linda Peavy with LaPav Consulting. I am your host today. And this is a commercial that tells you a little bit more about our work and what we do with LaPav Consulting and the grant writing. So hopefully this technology is going to work here. All right, there we are. Share my screen. All right, we have a little bit of a lag here. All right, we are ready.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so hopefully you are in the right place today. This is grant writing for Black-owned businesses and Black-led nonprofits. And again, I'm Linda Peavy. I'm the founder of LaPav Consulting, LLC, and I'm going to be your host today. And we are going to get started because, again, we have so much to share with you. A little bit about myself. You saw the commercial. This is the 14th year of owning LaPav Consulting, LLC. And we have written over $17 million worth of funding and business development over the past 10 plus years. And so my experience specifically is in grant writing, grant management, proposal development. I have written so many different kinds of grants, from education to salaries to innovative programming to job development. And so over the last 10 plus years, we have helped so many different nonprofits and small businesses. And so in the experience that I have specifically, you may know about a request for proposal, right? Typically that is the grant application. Well, I have been asked and contracted to write those RFPs, right? So I've written the grant applications before for clients. I've actually completed the scoring template. As you know, if you ever submitted a grant before, grants are scored. So I've written that scoring template. I've been the administration person for grants. I've helped to build partnerships and relationships, which are key. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I have written the grantee report, right? So after you get the grant, it is critical that you are able to write that grantee report. And then I also provide grant writing workshops. So I teach grant writing, and I've taught grant writing for the Urban League and the Council for Smaller Enterprises and other organizations as well. And so I know some of you are small business owners, some of you are nonprofits, and some of you are both. So let me see in the chat who is on the line today. So if you're a small business, shout out. If you're the leader of a nonprofit, let me know, or maybe you're both. All right. So let's see who we have. Let's see who we have today. I see nonprofit, small business owner, both, absolutely. Well, I have experience in both. So yes, I have a small business right now with LaPav Consulting, but I used to be the executive director of a nonprofit. So for you nonprofits out there, giving you some love, I feel your pain, especially because I know you may have been on this grant journey for a while, unlike some small businesses who are just now beginning to realize that grant money is available for you. And so I've been where you are. So I know exactly how frustrating it can be to submit that grant application and get that rejection letter. And so what I'm going to do today is help you through those challenges. And so my journey to getting to the $17 million, I used to be the marketing director and associate publisher of a publishing house. And I was there for over 10 years. I ended up retiring from that job because I injured my back and came back home to Cleveland, Ohio. It took me 2 years to recover. And after those 2 years is when I started LaPav Consulting. And one of my first contract positions was to be an executive director of a nonprofit. And once I took the position, I was then told that one of my first job duties was to write a grant literally for my own salary. Okay. So talk about being under pressure. That was my introduction to grant writing. And so from there, I really got a chance to understand this connection between the process of grant writing being directly related to whether or not you get funding. And the one thing I want to teach you today is that this is a process. You can't just download an application and fill it out and send it in. That's why so many of you get rejection letters. This is a process. I'm here to show you the process. I am here to give you the tea, and I'm even given a teapot, all right, because I want you to be successful. There is a connection. This is about learning the process. And I'm here to show you exactly what that is. All right, so what are we going to do today? There's 3 keys to really being able to help fully fund your passion, whether or not you're a small profit, a small nonprofit, or a small business owner. So we're going to learn today what to write. You're going to learn how to write to showcase your organization in the best light as the best grant candidate. And then I'm going to share some secrets with you that has been very helpful for me in terms of securing those $17 million, because at the end of the day, you want to stop bootstrapping and spending your own money to fund your mission and your passion. Grant funding is available. So why this class? Because Black nonprofits and entrepreneurs, you need help with funding. I hear horror stories, literally on almost, I kid you not, on almost a daily basis from nonprofits that are being taken, their money are being taken from quote unquote grant writers. And let me just say that there is a difference between a person who writes grants and a professional grant writer. But there is a lack of qualified professional grant writers. And we're expensive. We can be expensive. A typical, very experienced grant writer will charge you anywhere between $100 to $200 per hour. So it can be costly. Why not learn the skills yourself to literally take the future of your organization into your own hands, literally, to be able to find this money and then write the grant application in a way that you become successful. It is absolutely impossible for me to help everyone because I'm one person. So for me to be able to give back to the community, I provide these free grant writing webinars. And I know that this is going to be helpful for you. Why this particular class? Like, here's a secret. You don't have to be a professional grant writer to secure grants. Again, it's all about the process. And so I'm here to show you the process, what to write, how to write, and then how to get noticed. Because after all, grant writing is very competitive. You're going to submit an application that's in a sea of other applications. So how do you stand out? How do you stand out? All right. So one avenue that we want to talk about, which is one of the reasons why the philanthropic atmosphere has totally changed, is because of COVID-19. So grants have become and will become more competitive in 2021 and beyond, and we saw that. So initially, there was grant money that was provided because of COVID-19. It really did peel back how vulnerable small businesses were in particular, because you and I saw small businesses go out of business because you didn't have the services, you didn't have the customers. And so many organizations, major organizations, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, and some of your largest foundations decided that we need to provide help to small businesses. And that's where now, more so than ever before, small businesses, just like nonprofits, have the opportunity to receive grant funding. Now, most of the emergency funds have been expended through COVID-19, but we're in what's called a recovery. And even in 2022, we're still in this recovery. So you'll see that there are COVID-19 funds available right now in this recovery mode. And it's about you being able to verbalize how you've been affected by COVID-19 and how you would be able to use the funds to continue to sustain your organization. And so often you have to pivot. I worked with one veterans organization before COVID. They were providing surf therapy. Well, the beaches were closed. So we literally developed a program where they could still communicate with disabled veterans with PTSD online. And I know there's a lot of churches with me today. And so a lot of churches have had to also pivot their method of operations from being in person to being online. And I know a lot of churches are beginning to move back into in-person sessions now, but a lot of you had to pivot. And so in writing your grants, you can talk about what that meant for your organization and how you had to pivot. So this is one of the reasons why we see more grant money right now for small businesses in particular. Now, the second incident was the George Floyd incident. And this was really all about cause and effect. You might have heard diversity, equity, and inclusion. So after the George Floyd incident happened, your largest corporations, your largest foundations wanted to do something to address this racial injustice that happens daily across America. And what did they do? They did one of the easiest things for them, and that was to push money into this cause. So that is why many of you may know now, because you've heard of grants for minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses. There's more money available now than there has ever been before, specifically for Black-owned businesses and also Black-led nonprofits, which is one of the reasons why I'm having this webinar today. And so the money is there. It's really about knowing how to find it, right? And then how to write that grant application that puts you in the best light. So here's just some grant basics for many of you who don't understand the difference between a grant and maybe a loan. So the most important thing you need to know is that grants are not paid back. This is a sum of money given by a government or any other agency or organization for a particular purpose. And for nonprofits exclusively, you need your 501c3. I can't stress that enough. You need your 501c3 in order to get the majority of grants that are available. What is the 501c3? That is the tax-exempt charitable organization designation that can only be provided by the Internal Revenue Service. Now, some of you may have what's called a fiscal agent. I can tell you that it is nearly impossible to get grant money if you only have a fiscal agent and not a 501c3. So the fiscal agent It's just another nonprofit that has their 501c3. So when you're applying for the grant, if you don't have yours, you have to list that fiscal agent as the person that's going to be responsible for getting the grant money and then giving it to you, which is a lot of trust, right? But because the money is not directed specifically to you and given directly to you from the founder and the funder, it's not really a process that they want to entertain. They want you as a nonprofit to get your own 501c3. Right now, it's taking about 2 months to get the 501c3. And I highly recommend that you get either an attorney or your accountant to go through the 501c3 process. There's a lot of information that you will need, and it's always best to have a seasoned professional to take you through that process. Now, the grant application or the proposal, that's just a document that you're going to be completing to submit to apply for the funding. Now, where are we in terms of funding? We're still in a pandemic, right? So a lot of people might think, well, the money just isn't there. There's more money there now than there has ever been before. So look at 2015, there were over 86,000 foundations. The grant total, $62.8 billion. 92% of foundations are independent organizations, 3% are corporate foundations, 1% are community organizations. But look at 2019, it increased, right, to $75 billion, a 2.5% increase from 2008. And right now, the numbers are being calculated for 2021. It's even higher. So there's more money out there now than ever before. And I say this to you so that you understand the money is there. It's not that the money has dried up because we're in a pandemic. So before we start to get into the grant writing components, there's just something that I always make everyone aware of, and that is you really have to prepare to start the grant writing process. And one thing I ask everyone to do is just look at your writing skills. There's 5 basic writing skills: proper spelling, good reading comprehension. You want people to understand what you have read as you have written it, sentence and paragraph structure, knowledge of different types of writing. If you can imagine, writing a nonfiction novel is different than writing poems. Grant writing is all about storytelling. And then the last is editing and rewriting. And this is a critical piece. People, please listen. It does not matter how much information you put into your grant application. If it is full of grammatical errors, it is going to affect how well it is read. And so here's my first little bit of tea for you. And even if you are a professional writer or professional editor on the line today, this blog article is going to help you improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. This is an article by Grammarly. So Grammarly is a professional software package that is all about editing. And so Anita, who is my IT person today and also my trustworthy web developer, she is going to place into the chat this link. I guarantee you, if you read this article, it will improve your writing. So thank you, Anita, for putting that in there. It is just a tip that will be very beneficial for you. Again, doesn't matter how long you've been writing. I'm a professional writer. I'm also a professional editor. This article is going to help you. All right, so again, we're preparing, right? We're getting ready for the grant writing process because again, you can't just pull down the application and write it and send it off. These are the documents that you need to have available: your EIN, your employer identification number, that 501c3 IRS tax exempt determination letter. Again, don't use a fiscal agent. Your certificate of incorporation, right? Your bylaws. And this is key, your state certification. You have to be sure that you are in good standing to do business in your state. And I always share this story. It's been about a month ago now. I was doing the webinar and a young lady came on and said, "This is so true, Linda." She said, "I was applying for a grant and there were multiple applicants. She said, I was the only one who secured the grant because I was the only person that had my state certification that I was able to do business in my state. How do you get your state certification? Go to your Secretary of State's website. It's going to be different in every single state. Your state certification, go to your Secretary of State's website, put in the name of your organization and see if you're in good standing. Your list of board members, letters of support, they're critical. And you keep in mind, you don't need to be established to have your letters of support. People who have known you for years, they can write a letter of support that will provide their knowledge of how well they believe you're going to do in this given effort in your new business. Audited financial statement, that's usually for a little bit more seasoned organizations. You have to have a current operating budget. That's going to be critical. And also list any other funding resources, right? So if you've been given other grant money, in-kind services, donations, have a list of those organizations. And I say this because no one foundation wants to be your sole source of grants. They want to make sure that you've used due diligence to get funding from other resources. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't have any other grant, that's some type of automatic rejection. It's not. But I'm saying if you do have other grant money, again, even in-kind donations, in-kind services, other donations, create that list. So these are the documents that you want to have in hand and ready before you complete that application. So now we're going to talk about what to write. So these are the grant components that you see in a typical application: summary, abstract, mission, vision, statement, history, leadership, description of organization, your statement of need, your description of your program or your project, community partnerships, and I tell you they are so important. We'll talk about them later. Your outputs, outcomes, impact, and this is just how you measure the success of your program or your business. Your staff, this leadership means your board of directors, your budget, and sustainability, which we'll also talk about, because that means how are you going to sustain your business when all of the grant money has been used. And so let me do a bit of housekeeping before we move on. Please do place your questions into the Q&A. And if you forget, place them into the chat. Please stay until the end. I have a bonus for you, but I'm going to be answering all of the Q&A at the end. And anyone who knows me know I stay until I've answered every question. So don't think I'm not going to be able to get to your question. So as we go along, just put your questions in either the Q&A or you can put them in the chat, because we do check both. So now we go to how are you writing? So you have the components, how do you write? So we're going to go through every component. The summary, abstract. This is a synopsis of the most important components of your grant application. The most important thing you need to know, you write it very last. Why? Because it is that compilation of every section of the grant application that really does the best job of telling your story. This summary is going to talk about why right now do you need the grant money? And you're going to include stats, and then you're going to include what we call the ask in the grant writing world, and that is how much money you're asking for. So keep in mind, it's the first part of the grant application, but you always write it last. The mission and the vision. So most of you do have a mission statement, but do you have a vision statement? Because some grant applications will ask for both. What's the difference? The mission is what you're doing right now. These are your aims, your goals. The vision is what would you like to have happen in the future if you accomplish your mission statement. So mission is now, vision is in the future. When you're writing your grant application, it is critical that you align it to the funder. Find out what is the mission of the funder. Make sure that that mission is in alignment with what you believe in. What you're doing is one of the first elements of great grant writing is make sure you're writing a grant to the right funder. And you do that by looking at their mission statement. Look at what it is that they fund and make sure that your organization, whether you are a small business or a nonprofit, aligns to their mission. And to do this, you research the history of the organization's founder. I've done this many times before. I was working with one veterans organization, and it wasn't clear that they funded veteran organizations. But as I was doing my research, I found out that the founder was a veteran. He had served in World War II. And so the more I've been through research, the more I realized that this was of importance to the founder. And so we were able to make that connection in the grant application. So research the history of the organization's founder. Now, the history part, and what I want you to know about history, even if you are a new organization, every organization has a history, right? So even if you don't even have a start date, part of your history is thinking about what brought you to this point. What was the impetus for you starting the organization or the ministry, right? So it doesn't have to be what's happening right now. You don't have to have been in business for a year or 2 years, but part of your history is, how did you get to this point? What happened in your life that said, I want to create this nonprofit, or I want to create this business? Your leadership is your executive leadership. It could be your COO, your COO, your executive director, your board members, and then you have the description of your organization. And this is where you talk about, if you are experienced, your track record, right? You want to put in your track record. So if your organization is about youth development, you want to put in your track record of working with youth. You want to talk about your success rate, your success factors. Use numbers. Numbers are important. And then what is your experience with the subject matter? Even if you are a new organization, focus on the experience of the leadership of the organization. I'll explain that. So let's say you have a person who used to be a school principal. She retired, and she wants to open up this nonprofit where she's tutoring high school kids after school and reading. Well, this is a new organization, right? So she can't really talk about her track record of working with the target population within the realm of the organization. But you know what? She can talk about her own personal experiences. If she's a principal, she's worked with students for a number of years. So include that in that grant application, because that will provide a picture of, okay, this person is really knowledgeable about youth. So while this is a new organization, she's been a principal for 20 years. So she has certainly experience with the subject matter. So again, even if you're new, talk about you. And let's say you're a small business. And I like to use the analogy of someone who has like a bakery, and maybe they want to open up a cupcake company. Well, you may be new, right, to opening up your business, but maybe you've been baking for 20 years, right? Maybe this is your grandmother's recipe that's being passed down. Grant writing is all about telling a story. And so in every portion of the grant, tell the story, keep telling the story. Again, if you're new, focus on the experience of you, because you is what truly makes your grant application unique, your experiences, your success factors. So talk about your history, what brought you to opening up either the nonprofit or the small business. Another portion that we talk about in the grant is the statement of need. In other words, what is the problem? And I say this all the time. There's always a problem. Are you connecting the target problem to the funder's areas of interest? So when I say there's always a target problem, even that bakery, that cupcake store, right? Let's say you want to open it up in downtown Cleveland. Well, you might say, well, how are you going to come up with a problem? Well, maybe there's no bakery for business people within a mile of the area that you're opening up in. That's a problem, right? So if you have businesses who have catering, who have events, they need a bakery, right? And so maybe you can talk about how within that 5-mile radius, there's no bakery that can service your target community, which would be businesses within the downtown area. So think in terms, how are you resolving a problem? And then you connect that to the funder's areas of interest. So every foundation, every funder has an area of interest for which they want to fund organizations. Find out what it is and make sure there's a connection, because at the end of the day, if there's a foundation and their interest is only on youth development and your organization funds disabled veterans, there's a disconnect there. It's too often we fall into the trap of, oh my gosh, the Gates Foundation is accepting applications, or the Ford Foundation. These are some of the largest foundations in the world. And you want to apply, but you haven't read to see what the areas of interest is going to be for that application. How do you find out? 2 ways. You check their 990s, and then you go to the funder's website. Now, the 990 is a tax document for organizations, for nonprofit organizations and other organizations. How do you check the 990? Well, there is a website where you can go to where you have the opportunity to look at all 990s free of charge. And Anita, if you have that, if you could place that into the chat, that particular website, which I'll make sure it gets in here. This particular website, you can go on. It is open990.org. So you go to this website and literally it will list every 990. You pull down the 990, and in that 990, at the end of the document, typically, I say typically, there is a list of who they have funded. And then you start matching. So if you see, okay, they're funding small businesses, or okay, they're funding organizations with youth development, a youth development component or workforce development component. Okay, this is an organization that I may want to pursue. So make sure that you have the 990 URL. And always keep in mind, you're resolving a problem either differently or better than anyone else. Even if you are a small business, you don't have to think of this in terms of nonprofits, but even your small business, how are you resolving a problem different or better than anyone else? So keep that in mind always when you're writing your application. Now, the target population, that's simply who you're helping. And you want to use demographics because you can't help everyone. The answer is never, ever, 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 everyone. You have to niche down. And by niche, we say, who are you helping? Like that particular bakery, well, her target population was businesses within maybe a 5-mile radius of the store. How do you get demographics, which are important to telling your story? And demographics means the details of your target market: gender, ethnicity, income, age. Maybe your organization is focused on the elderly, right? Maybe it's focused on underrepresented communities, right? Maybe it's focused on minority communities. So the geography of the target community market, and then all of your demographics can be found at the U.S. Census Fast Facts. It is like one of the best resources, absolutely, for finding the data that you need to support your grant application. I absolutely love them. And guess what? It's free. It's the U.S. Census Fast Facts. So again, always think about how your programming is helping to solve a problem. So we talked about the need, the problem. So here's an example of how I was able to deal with and write down the statement of need in a grant application. I was writing a Toshiba science grant for an environmental science class in an urban high school. And so what was the need? Well, this was an urban high school. And the need was there's a lack of minority students in STEM careers. And that's true. And there's a need there. Another need was the school wanted to increase the student achievement rates for minority students. What was the target population? Underrepresented minority high school students. So that was how I defined the need for the grant. So this is how I put together the statement of need. Science, technology, engineering, math. We know that as STEM disciplines for minority students can lead to meaningful careers. Yet, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, got my stats in there. In 2011, the number of African Americans employed in STEM occupations was 8% or less. So that's not good, right? Here's another stat. According to 2009 figures, only 1.9% of African Americans held careers as environmental scientists and geoscientists, right? Lots of room for improvement. Our course is an avenue to close the achievement gap while nurturing students' interest in science. And here I am wrapping it back to the mission statement of Toshiba. The school supports Toshiba's belief that science and mathematics are exciting fields in which all students can succeed with the proper tools and instruction. The grant will assist us in achieving these efforts. So here's how I created what the need statement was. Now, this is just a synopsis, of course. This was a lengthy part of the application, but you can see how you talk about the need, you talk about the stats, you talk about how you're going to overcome the problem and how you relate it back to the foundation or the funder. Another piece is storytelling. I said before, grant writing is all about telling a story. You start with a message. Who is my audience and what is the message I want to share with them? And then I talked about this before, and I call it mining. Mine your own experiences. What events in your life make you believe in the idea that you are trying to share, whether it's your business idea or your nonprofit? But something that you have to be mindful of. Don't make yourself the hero of the story. Put your target population at the center of the story. Now let's go back really quick to my synopsis here. Who do you think is the focus of this paragraph? I want you to put into the chat who you think is the focus of this paragraph. Who is that target population? Let's see what we come up with. Who is the target population? Excellent, excellent, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. This is, you would be surprised how many people don't get this right. Absolutely. It's the students, it's not the school. The school was writing the application, right? But they're not the hero, right? The target population, that's the center of the story, not the organization. It's about the student, right? Because this is all about a transformation. And it's the student that is going to experience the transformation once they go through this class. So you always have to highlight a struggle. Keep in mind, a story without some type of a challenge just is not very interesting, right? And so even if you're a small business, and I keep focusing on that because sometimes it's hard to come up with, okay, what is the challenge? Well, again, go back to what you're trying to resolve. How are you trying to make it better? And always, always keep it simple. So keep asking your questions because I will get to them. Are you telling your story the best, right? You have to show how you're changing lives, how outcomes are achieved. You always want to appeal to some type of human factor, core values. But you can focus on the benefits of the organization, yes, but at the center of the story is who is going to get that transformation. And even if you're a small business, let's take that bakery. Well, now you're going to have like business people coming in and they're going to be tasting like the best cupcakes within any area of downtown Cleveland, right? So there should also be some type of emotional connection. So again, let's talk about that bakery. Maybe you're the first person in your family to open up a small business. right? Again, maybe this is your grandmother's recipe. Whatever you do, however you're telling your story, bring emotion into it. And one of the best ways to do that, to me, the best way to do that is using video. And this does not have to be complicated. You literally can ask your customers or your clients, take your iPhone or your Android. Yes, I'm an Android person. Take your iPhone or your Android and have them film a 2-minute testimonial. These are the best cupcakes I've ever tasted in my life. Like, I'm so glad that now in my company, we don't have to call outside organizations that's beyond the downtown area just to have our events catered. If you're a nonprofit, talk to the clients that have utilized your programs. Have them do simple testimonial videos. Those videos should be a part of every single website, like, period. They have to be a part of your website. Get the testimonials, get the real examples, get the case studies, and put them on your, not only your website, but your social media pages as well. Now, again, we're talking about how to write. You have to make a decision. Are you going to ask for operating or program project costs? Keep in mind, as of 2020, only about 32% of foundations provided general operating support to grantees. What is general operating support? It means you decide where to apply the funds. So if you apply for a grant that says it's for operating dollars, you get to decide. Maybe it's your IT. Maybe you need more HR. Maybe you need to increase your staff. Maybe you need technology. Your program project grant is going to be based on that specific project. And again, it doesn't have to only be about nonprofits. Let's take the bakery. Let's say they want to expand and have a takeout service or delivery service. That's a project, right? So you have to decide, am I going to ask for operating dollars or am I going to ask for program project dollars? Keeping in mind that far fewer foundations fund operating dollars. And it always depends on what the grant is saying, because some grants don't even offer operating dollars. So be sure you read the grant as clearly as possible. But in order to make this decision, consider your greatest need, right? Where is it that you need to shore up your operations? Is it in IT? Or maybe you need additional people, or you're just starting and it needs to be about operations. Or maybe you've already started and you really want to focus on, a particular program or project. So you have to decide where are your weaknesses. Where do you need funding to really help move your organization forward? So now we're at the description of the program project. Again, talk about why or how it's been successful. That's the track record. If it's new, why will it be successful? Again, address the need. You're going to include all of the details. Now, let's say it's a new method. Let's say you're a school and you wanted to bring in curriculum that deals with project-based learning. I know I have a lot of educators on the line. Well, let's say you're dealing with 5th grade underrepresented students. If you're bringing in project-based learning, do your research to support that project-based learning has been proven to help increase the reading proficiencies of 5th grade students. Think about how are you resolving the problem? And also be realistic with your timeline. If it's going to take you 6 months to implement your program, don't say 3 months to try to impress the funder. Be realistic. Keep a timeline that is going to give you the amount of time that you really need to be successful. Now, community partners, I really wanted to spend some time talking about this because it can be the difference as to whether or not you get a grant. What are other organizations that you're using as partners? And these partners could be third-party vendors, right? There are a lot of organizations that provide nonprofit tutoring services for kids after school. In Ohio, if you have any type of program that's after school, you have to be able to feed those children. And so here we have a lot of organizations that partner with the Cleveland Food Bank, and they bring in food. well, they're considered a community partner, right? So this is really great for your new nonprofits, especially. You want to seek out your more well-established organizations that you can partner with. I talked about the Toshiba of America grant. Well, we partnered for that environment science class with the Cleveland Metro Parks. They're one of the most respected Metro Park systems in the country. We had a partnership where the students would learn part of the day in school, part of the day they would go to Cleveland Metro Parks on their campus and take classes. They would go to the Metro Parks, they would take these macroinvertebrate samples from their Rocky River Reservation. And Toshiba looked at this application and said, wow, you're partnering with this very well-known, respected organization, the Cleveland Metro Parks. And it played a big role in us getting that grant. It really lends authenticity to your organization. Again, whether you are a nonprofit or a small business, who are your vendors, right? Who are some of your clients? So if you have very well-known organizations that are clients, that's a partnership too. Partnerships don't have to be thought of in terms of I'm providing a certain percentage of my business to this organization. No, these are all considered partners. There was another grant that I worked on that was a music program for third graders where we wanted to teach them violin. And we were partnering with the Cleveland Orchestra, one of the best orchestras in the world. And their members were going to come to the school after hours and tutor on violin. So again, connect your business or your nonprofit to preferably a well-established partner within the community. And these are just a few: the Urban League, universities, especially HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, civic organizations, Greek organizations, 100 Black Men of America, YWCA, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club. In Ohio, we have the Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council. There should be a similar organization in your state. Minority Business Assistance Centers, which here in Ohio is part of the Urban League. You should have a similar organization in your state. Again, we have the Ohio Small Business Development Center. So seek out different avenues. Universities and colleges that's like low-hanging fruit that you can partner with to make sure that you have these relationships that will only strengthen your grant application. And this is just a list here that I grabbed from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So if anyone is on the line that maybe their organization or their small business is somehow health related, this was just a quick list that I got from the Health and Human Services Department. So I have highlighted here the National Caucus and Center on Black Age. So maybe your organization is geared towards the elderly. We'll see if there is some type of local chapter, and many of these associations have local chapters. See if there's a local chapter that you can somehow partner with. It makes such a difference. I cannot overstate this, how important it is to be able to partner with organizations. Now, the next section is outcomes, outputs, and impact. So this is all about how do you prove that your program or project is working? If you're a small business, again, let's take that bakery. That could be surveys, right? It could be your revenue. It could be your customer base or your increased customers, or how many different contracts you have with neighboring businesses to provide catering. Your outputs, that's your immediate results of your project. Your outcomes, those are the changes or activities that will happen as a result of your outputs. The impact is the future changes as a result of your program. And I mentioned all three because there are applications that require all three. So what is the difference here? I'm going to take a sip of water. I have an example. Your outputs. 100 prisoners received a pre-release training program 6 months before their release. So this is a program that literally helps prisoners to become well-developed in terms of their skills after they are released from prison so that they have a better chance of success in getting a job. So you have a program. You're training these prisoners while they're still incarcerated on this pre-release training program. And you do this 6 months before their stated release. And so at the end of the program, you've trained 100 prisoners. They have this pre-release training. It could be on soft skills or job skills. So at the end of the program, 100 prisoners. What is the outcome as a result of the output? Well, as a result of these prisoners being trained, right? Now they can start their workforce development program within 3 months after their release because they've done the pre-release training. Now they can move on to other training. What is the impact? Well, now they've been trained on workforce development. They have soft skills. They maybe have job skills. They maybe have resume writing skills. The impact is that this is going to reduce the recidivism rate, which is the rate at which ex-offenders go back to jail. The recidivism rate of ex-offenders by 25% within 1 year of their release. Why? Because they've gone through a program where they now have soft job skills. And because they have these job skills, there is a less chance that they will go back to jail because now there's a greater chance that they can become gainfully employed. So think about how this pertains to your business or your nonprofit, because many applications will ask for all three. All right. So another outcome, which I think many of you are familiar with, is your SMART goals. Again, this is about evaluating your goals. A SMART goal is a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goal. What is the difference between a SMART goal and a regular goal? I'll show you. A regular goal could be, I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. No, that's not going to work. That's too broad. Think about a niche market. So a SMART goal would be, I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. It's specific, it's measurable, 5% in Cleveland, it's attainable, you've got a 5-year time frame, it's relevant because the poverty rate is not good, and it's timely, right? You have your time frame there. So what you're doing is using figures and data and stats and numerical indicators. And one of the best ways you can do this to measure how successful you are is with surveys and reports and follow-up interviews. So with your surveys, send out a survey of people who are currently going through your program or have finished your program. Send out constant surveys of people who visit your small owned business. Let's say the bakery, people who are visiting the bakery. These surveys become very important to give you feedback to make sure that you are accomplishing your goals. I love SurveyMonkey, but there are other survey tools. I know Google has a survey tool that's really, really good. And it may be free. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but it may be free. But surveys are such wonderful ways to measure your goals. All right, moving along, we have your project program staff. So this becomes important because funders want to know, are the people that you have putting in charge of your program or your project qualified? Always include bios and updated resumes. That's a pet peeve. Make sure the resume is up to date. It's important because the funder wants to know who you have responsible for this program. Oversight is key. Numbers. If you really need 10 people to implement the program, put down 10. Your leadership includes not only what we talked about before, your CEO, your executive director, but also your board of directors. And this is something that too many people overlook. Now, this more or less is for nonprofits. What opportunity do you have for volunteerism for the funder? So if you have an organization where you have the opportunity for volunteers, think about ways in which the funder or the foundation members can help to volunteer for your organization and include that in the grant as well. because foundation members, they love to be involved in the life of the organizations that they fund. The budget will show itemized expenses in every budget area, right? And so this is key. You can't just say, I need $100,000 for salaries. You have to show, well, I'm paying the executive director, I'm paying staff people. Who are the program personnel? The secretary, the office manager, your contractors. And are the costs reasonable? Use reliable sources for estimates. So of course, the salaries are going to be different if you're in California than if you're in Ohio. You can absolutely attach vendor quotes. The budget narrative is simply how you are using the funding. Whatever you do, connect it back to the goal of the program. So that's what I always do in the applications that I've written. I write in the amount of money and I say, this is how this money to be used, for example, the executive director is going to help lead the program and lead to success and help us achieve the goal. So just keep in mind, itemize those budgets. Now, sustainability is always interesting, and a lot of businesses and nonprofits get stuck on this. It's a little easier for small businesses that tend to have some type of revenue stream, but it becomes a little bit more difficult for some nonprofits. So sustainability is simply, how does your organization continue to operate and function when the grant money is gone, right? Keep in mind, grant money is not guaranteed. So you may have a grant this year, but let's say $50,000. Well, you may not have that grant next year. So how do you keep that program moving when you may not have the $50,000? How will the program survive beyond the grant monies and the grant period? You have to write alternative fund development methods right into the application. So let's say you're a school, right? And you have a program for after-school tutoring. Well, after the grant is gone, you don't know if you're going to get it, excuse me, for the next year. What are some of the alternative fund development methods, right? Let's put in the chat ways in which you think a school could continue to raise money beyond grant money. What could they do? Well, you could have maybe talent show, right? Let's see what we have. Fundraisers. You could sell merchandise, right? You could sell school merchandise. You could have a musical, right? Where you're selling tickets to the community, right? Excellent plays. So be sure if you want everyone to hear your comment, make sure you have it clicked to everyone. Tisha, yes, perfect, Tisha. Car washes, carnivals. Janice says donations from other businesses. Absolutely. So you have to think about alternative ways, right? That you can keep your program going. Again, sometimes it's a little bit easier for small businesses because they typically have some type of revenue generating mechanism already. But this is how you have to think about, once the grant money is gone, this program is going to survive. All right, so now we're going to talk about how do you get noticed, right? Because sea of grant applications. It's all about what you do before you write the grant. You're positioning yourself for success. Again, show your uniqueness, strategize first. Operations versus program project. Research your funders. And I want to mention something about researching funders that everyone needs to know. 90%, I'm going to repeat this, 90%, 90%, excuse me, of foundations do not have a website. Again, 90% of foundations do not have a website. So that's where that 990 becomes critical in finding information about that funder. You gain your partners. Relationship building is key. This is about meeting with the funder. And I always tell this story. I was in a meeting with several foundation leaders, and I heard one of them say, if I have a sea of applications and no one has contacted me, tried to call me, tried to text, tried to email, no kind of relationship building, oftentimes those applications go in the trash. Now, this does not always happen. I want to be clear about that. And some foundations don't want you to connect with them, but the due diligence is up to you to try to reach out to that foundation to set up a meeting, whether it's email, whether it's calling, right? If at all possible. Because when you think about it, if I'm the funder and have all these applications, and this group, well, they've reached out, excuse me, I've connected with them. I've spoken with them. I know their passion. I know more information about their program than I could ever read on their website because we've had that connection. And this set here, I just have the application. Who are you more likely, all things being equal, who are you more likely to give funding to? Someone that you've begun to know more about who they are, how they're serving. So if at all possible, reach out to that foundation and try to set up a meeting. It becomes critically important. Also, again, how do you get noticed? Let's go back to that list of documents, right? Do you have your 501c3? Do you have your certificate? Who are your board of directors? Use your board of directors for something other than fundraising. They're not there to just sell tickets, right? See who they're connected to. Maybe one of your board members knows someone who's on that foundation staff. Include your research models. Your letters of support, you have to do that before you even start the grant writing process because it takes time, right? It takes time to get people to maybe write a letter of support for you. Your audited financial statement, your current operating budget, again, a list of other funding resources, and the memorandum of understanding, which is a document from your partner saying, okay, this is what our partnership is going to look like. We got one from Cleveland Metro Parks that said, yes, the students are going to be coming to our facilities and taking lessons. They're going to come to our reservations and take these macroinvertebrate samples. So it's just a document. It is not mandatory, but it will help if you have that formalized letter to say, yes, this is how we're working with the Cleveland Orchestra. This is how we're working with the Metro Park system. Also, before you write, are you asking for general operating support or program project support? Keep in mind that only 32% of foundations provide that general operating support. These are do's and don'ts. Do create a strategy, research that funder. I keep saying it over and over and over again because it's critical. Who and what have they funded? Link the need to the use of funds. Do think like the funder. Limited resources to grant, right? Every foundation only has so much money to give, right? So they're going to look at who's utilizing resources most effectively already. Please consider time management. Grants are deadline driven, and I assure you, if a deadline is 4:59 p.m. by the federal government, that portal is closing at 4:59 p.m. Address each question. This is critical. Please, please, please. I have read applications where the answers are beautiful. They're beautiful answers, well written, but they're to the wrong question. They're a beautiful answer addressing the wrong question. I reread my question 3 times just to make sure I know what they're asking for. Make sure your program and your project addresses change. And please seek external reviews, please, before you submit grant applications, preferably from someone who has a pretty good command of the English language. Don't just have someone read it who doesn't understand English structure. So some of the don'ts. Again, don't use a cookie cutter answer based upon some template. Read the question. Don't ask for too much when approaching a funder for the first time. So for example, now some grants is stated how much they are placing into the proposal. They will say, this is a $50,000 grant. This is a $10,000 grant. But many community foundations, they don't have that limit. So what you don't want to do is go on the first time and say, I'm going to ask for a $100,000 grant. You don't want to do that because you're going to get rejected. Always start low. Always start conservative because you're trying to get your foot in the door. Try to get approved for a lower amount because the next year you apply, you can apply for a larger amount once they've seen that you have been great fiscal agents of the money that they've given to you. Don't underestimate time. Please start early. Don't wait until the last minute to submit. And don't forget to edit. Grammarly.com is your friend. And right now, and I believe this is still ongoing, if you are a nonprofit, you can get Grammarly.com for free, the professional version. I have the professional version, which is about $120 a year, but just Google Grammarly.com for nonprofits, and they are offering a free, I believe it's annual, free professional version of Grammarly.com for nonprofits. Other than that, just make sure you at least have the regular version. That's the free version. The letter of introduction is really what sells the funder on the project or the program. So this is about introducing yourself to the funder to try to get a meeting. I talked about those meetings, right? To try to introduce yourself. You're trying to reach out to that funder. So you're going to include in that letter just a brief description of your organization, that statement of need. And this letter is 1 or 2 pages. Typically, this can be done in 1 page. How your program or project aligns to them, right? You're not asking for a dollar amount, okay? You're not asking for a dollar amount because you're just trying to introduce yourself to get a meeting. Do your research on the funder and try to get a reference. Again, 90% of foundations have no websites. So try to get a reference, someone who knows someone in the foundation. And I told you I was spilling the tea. This is the teapot. This website will get you the email address of just about anyone in any organization. I swear by it. It's getemail.io, and that should be placed into the chat right now. www.getemail.io. And so initially, I think they give you so many for free, and then it's a paid service. It is worth it. I guarantee you it is worth it. So again, because most of these foundations don't have a website, this is an avenue, right, for trying to get email so that you can send your letter introduction. So I just want to make sure that, yes, that is in the email. All right, that is in the chat. All right, so some of you are small businesses, and excuse me, allergies have decided to start acting out. Some of you are small businesses that like to contract for bids through the state, through the county, through the city. And I provide workshops for how to write those bid proposals, which a lot of it is the same as a grant application, your summary, mission, history, leadership, description of organization, statement of needs. But in your contract bid, you're including the scope of the work, which are the specific areas that you're going to provide to fulfill whatever that contract is asking for. The key takeaway here is not to underbid drastically. Some people think that if they put in a lowball bid, they're going to try to give the lowest bid, that they will be considered. That will backfire. That will backfire because whomever is providing the contract they have an idea of what the cost is going to be. So if they have an idea that this cost is really going to be about $1 million, and you submit a contract saying, well, I can do it for $250,000, they're going to know automatically that you don't have the scale for that project. So be reasonable, right? Be reasonable in what you're providing in terms of what you can do. And so now we go to grant research, right? How do you find your funder? There's a number of different search engines that you can use. The most well-known is the Foundation Directory Online, which is the leading source of information in the US for grants. Instrumental.com. So the Foundation Directory Online, let me just say another thing about that. That's paid. Right now, it is about $50 a month. So you know what? You pay the $50 and you do your research and you get as many funders as possible. Instrumental.com is a lot more pricey. It's about $170 a month. It's more in-depth. Grants.gov is a single source for federal grants, like the single source, over 900 grant programs from 26 agencies. And for my church people who are on the line and my faith-based organizations, the Lilly Foundation is the largest funder of religious organizations in the country. For my educators who are on the line, grantgopher.com is a great source for funds in the area of education. I like grantwatch.com. The last time I looked, they were maybe $20 a week, where some of these are monthly or annual. You can get GrantWatch weekly. It's such a great resource. Then urbanawareness.com, right? So urbanawareness.usa.org. They list minority grants for whether you're a small business or a nonprofit. They are fantastic. Sign up to their newsletter. Now, they do have some paid services that are more expensive, but sign up to their newsletter. You won't be disappointed. And they have these great walkthroughs where they literally will help you walk through a grant application. They're fantastic. I highly, highly recommend them. So for the small businesses specifically, these are some avenues for you for your grants. If you are a woman-owned business, you must know about helloalice.com. There are so many organizations that are now going through helloalice.com to provide information about their grants for women-owned businesses, and especially minority women-owned businesses. Here are some others. The Department of Transportation has a Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. The Facebook Black Creators Grant, Amber Grants for Women, the National Association for the Self-Employed Growth Grants. That is another absolutely fantastic way of getting information on grants. The Minority Business Development Agency business grants. Your small business grant by FedEx. And then your SBIR, which is your Small Business Innovation Research Grants. And that's through the government. So this is just for the small businesses, just a few that are available. So there's two particular avenues that most, I would say, nonprofits and small businesses completely overlook when it comes to trying to get funding. One is banks. So you may not know it, but banks are a huge provider of grant money. Tell me what you think when someone tells you the term bank. Put it into the chat, like when you think about bank and money and trying to get money, what do you think? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says fees, loans, PPP for sponsorship, difficult, interest, yes, loans, absolutely, high interest, debt, APR, difficult to be approved, absolutely, all true, but guess what? Banks are a huge provider of grants. You just have to know where to go. is usually not going to be your branch manager. For most banks, there is a division, typically of community development or community resources, and there is a vice president that is in charge of that position. That is a person that you have to get to talk about grants, not loans, grant money. Banks are huge supporters of especially small businesses when it comes to providing resources to help increase the prosperity of the community, because banks are all about being involved in the community, right? And so I've been able to secure grants for small businesses through banks. So again, research your bank. That vice president of community development or community relations is a person that you need to seek. The other area is workforce development. Most of you don't understand that you're providing jobs. And anytime that you're providing jobs for your nonprofit or your small business, that's a workforce development grant that you can apply for. You may not think of it like that. So if you have a youth development organization, you may be searching for grants in youth development. But if you are hiring people and you have a staff and you're consistently putting people to work, then you can apply for a workforce development grant. So you have to think outside of the box and really expand how it is that you search for grants. So I want to thank everyone for staying on. Don't go anywhere, because this is what I want to be able to share with you. After this presentation, I will answer literally all of the Q&A. So be sure you put your questions into the chat and into the Q&A. I mentioned before that this is my 14th year of APOV Consulting. I've written over $17 million worth of funding and grants. I'm one person. I am trying to empower as many people as possible, as many businesses, as many organizations as possible, to be able to secure funding for your organization. So I have developed a grant writing course that literally takes you step by step by step to getting the money that you need to fund your organization, whether it's a nonprofit or a small business. You need to know how to do it. I told you it is a process. You need the tools. You need the step-by-step guidance. You want to be able to stop bootstrapping, right? Your organization, to stop using your own funds for your organization. Grants are free, it's free money. Learn how to get it, learn how to do it. And that's what my course is about. It's giving you that step-by-step path to funding. Do you want to be able to really save a lot of money on the grant writing expenses? As I said, grant writers they can be pricey. Again, $100 to $200 an hour to write a grant, right? It gets to be pricey. But I want you to place yourself in a position where you can get $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 or more in grants. Think about what $50,000 could do right now for your organization, whether it's a nonprofit or a small business. So my course includes 12 modules, 35 lessons. It is as thorough as you can imagine. But I know that people learn differently. So it starts with 30 introductory videos. So every lesson you have a video. Then you have the lesson, because people learn differently. Some people are visual learners, so you have the video. Some people need to read. So you have that lesson typed out in front of you so that you read the lesson. You have the task. And as you're doing the task, you are literally developing your grant template. So at the end of this course, you are ready. You are ready to start submitting your grant applications. And how am I allowing you to know that you're doing it right? I'm giving you actual winning grant examples. So if I'm teaching you how to write about the history of your organization, I'm going to place in front of you a real live history section that I have written in a winning grant. Every example is from a winning grant as to how I wrote the history section, so that you have that example right in front of you. how to approach funders and partners. That's another part of the course. And again, remember I talked about you really need to be able to put yourself in the best position to start applying. There are things you have to do. You don't just want to download an application, fill it out, send it in. Make sure that you are ready to apply. And I go through those steps. So you have the lesson task, you have printables, right? Downloadable printables that you can take with you. You have quizzes, and they're funny quizzes. They're light quizzes. I just want you to be able to comprehend the lessons. And I show you how to do the grant research. It is so important to find that perfect funder. And so I give you that information in the course. And when you're done, I have a list of over 400 funders. Yes, a list of over 400 funders. So when you're done with the course, you have a great template. I have funders for you to look for, right? And they include small businesses, nonprofits, youth development, faith-based organizations. You name it, it's in there. Education, ex-offender programs. But I know that grant writing is a process. So I am a firm believer in not leaving you hanging, right? So I have a private Facebook group for all of the students, and it is fantastic. So the students come to the Facebook group. Let's say you're working on a grant and you just need someone to look at it, review it, give you some feedback. Come to the Facebook group and put the information in there. There are professional grant writers who take the course who are part of the Facebook group. I'm in the Facebook group. I provide all kinds of extra free advice, free resources in the Facebook group. So come to the Facebook group. And you also get a bonus 2 hours of free group coaching, right? Free group coaching. Because if you want to meet with me one-on-one, that's $200 for a private session. We are getting 2 hours of free group coaching when you purchase the course. So again, 12 modules, 35 lessons, that's $3,549. Your 30 introductory videos is worth $599. Your 400 funders, that's the list, because if you hired me to give you that list, that would be $499. I also give you planners. I give you goal trackers and goal planners, right? So that you can track your process. But that's not all. So the value of the course is $4,997. The course is priced at $997, right? But for the month of March, because it's Women's History Month, I've literally slashed it in half. So the course is $497. You're getting a course that's valued at almost $5,000 for $497 for one payment. But I am not done. Because you participated in this webinar, for the next 3 days and 3 days only, the course is $197. I'm giving you a coupon that you can use for the next 3 days, and it's 3 days only, where you literally can take $300 off of the $497 price. This is not $197 monthly. This is one price of $197, but it's only for 3 days. So I don't want you to be mad at me if in 3 days you go back and it's $497, and that's just for Women's History Month. So April 1st, it goes back to $997. So on April 1st, I don't want you to go in and try to get it and it's $997. You're like, oh my gosh, I had a chance to get it for $197, because this is only for the next 3 days only. And so the coupon code, and hopefully that's being put into the chat, is MAR300 off. So if you use the coupon code, and please make sure when you go in, it will ask you for the coupon code, put in MAR300 off. Let me make sure that's being put into the chat. Right. And it's MAR300 off. There's no capital M. It is MAR300 OFF. The M is not capitalized. So I'm putting into the chat right now. Here is the correct code, is MAR300 OFF. Okay. So this is the right code. There's no caps. I want to make sure you can use the code. There's no caps, MAR 300 OFF. You are actually getting this course, yes, for $197. I did a revision of the course. So many of you may be thinking, how can you sell this course for $197? I did a revision of the course where I added quizzes, updated the information. And typically, if you know anything about the course world, when you do revisions or you launch something that's been revised, there's a set period of time where you offer it for a really great price. And this truly is your window of opportunity, okay? Because April 1st is going back up to $997. And after 3 days, it will go back to the $497 because that's just for Women's History Month. So MAR 300 OFF, I want to make sure that the link is placed into the chat. So the course is self-paced. That is important for you to know. The course is self-paced. As soon as you pay the money, right, you are able to start your course. The course is online. And what's great is that there's no expiration date to the course. So 12 modules, 35 lessons, that's worth $35.49. And now the list was $350. It's over 400 now. That's valued at $499. You get the planners, the schedules, the workbook for $350. You get the 30 instructional videos that's worth $599. So the course is worth $49.97, $197 for 3 days only. Use the coupon MAR 300 OFF for 3 days. So March 30th, that is the deadline. After that, it goes back to $497. And then April 1st, after we're done with Women's History Month, it will go back to its regular price of $997. So this is truly a small window of opportunity for you to get the course. And remember, I mentioned that you actually get free group coaching. Well, that's going to start April 11th. So you could come into the group coaching session. That's a Zoom. Highlight your organization. Ask any question that you might have. I do an overview of the course, but you don't have to wait because as soon as you pay, you have access. But I do an overview and I ask questions. I answer questions, right? And what's so great about the course is that as you're working through the course, there's what's called discussion starters. So if you get stuck or if you have a question, put in a discussion starter. I personally go in and answer all of the questions, right? So I don't want you to miss out on an opportunity for you to help with your funding and stop bootstrapping your organization. Think about, what could I do with $20,000 or $30,000 grant or a $50,000 grant, right? And so at the end of the 12 modules, you've written a complete grant proposal. I'm giving you a list of 400 funders, right? So the $197 is what you pay one time. This is not monthly. I want to be clear about that, but it's only for the next 3 days. And then it goes back up to $497. And then April 1st, it'll be $997. So you can write a $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 grant or more. The $50,000 for you nonprofits become very important because that's when you can fill out a regular 990 form. And a lot of funders and foundations want to be able to see your 990 form when you're applying for a grant. All right, so these are just a few testimonials. I invested in this program, says Cam recently, and it is amazing. Linda Peavy is a master grant writing guru. Carla says, I am so glad I signed up for this course. It is straightforward and very easy to understand and chock full of information. So thank you for this, Linda. Paulina, I would like to thank you for this page and the course. The course was easy to read, listen to, and understand. I've already signed up for notifications from Hello Alice, and the information I received is very helpful. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Linda says, Ms. Peavy, what a great idea to become a grant service provider. Now, this person actually wanted to become a professional grant writer, and so she took the course, and she has started writing grants. And literally, I think in the last 2 weeks, a grant has been approved. 3 different grants were approved for that totaled a little over $25,000. So it works. It does work. All right. So definitely, if you want to enroll, you want to go to the LaPav Writing School.thinkific.com. Thinkific is just a platform. So that's the platform because this is an online course. And I just want to make sure everything is in the chat. correctly. All right. And I would just implore you to please, please, please consider doing this for your organization, for your small business, for $197 investment for the next 3 days, because it really will, the price really will be going back up. Buy it now and be able to put in your hands the future of your organization. All right, it is QA time. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And again, I want to just make sure that everyone can see me on their screen, because I'm saying, Anita, I'm actually saying grant writing on my screen. I want to make sure everybody can see my screen large. For some reason, I'm saying the grant writing for non-writers on my screen. So, okay, yes, everyone's able to see that. So great. I'm going to start the Q&A, and I'm going to go to the very top of the Q&A. Yeah, so there will be a replay sent to everyone. There will not be a copy of the slides, but there will be a replay. Yes, everybody will get a recording. Okay. So yes, definitely put in the code, because I really want you to be, this has become a community. That's something else I wanted to talk about. It is a community of nonprofits and small businesses together with a goal of getting this free money and helping to fund your organization that will make whatever your mission is far more attainable, because you're getting the support from foundations and funders. So Keith says, oh, before Keith, someone else said, I understand you charge a lot an hour. I'm willing to pay you to ensure I receive a grant. There's no guarantee when a grant writer writes grants. I need to be super clear about that. So if you're considering hiring a grant writer, there is no such thing as a guaranteed grant. No grant writer can guarantee that they're going to bring you money. So if someone is saying that to you, I would run the other way, because it's just not true. So Keith is saying, could you explain to me, when you ask the questions, describe the outcomes from the implementation of the project, describe how the project will impact a significant number of individuals. Could you give examples of both questions? So I actually did in the presentation. I described the outcomes of the project. That was the slide that talked about the ex-offender program, where I listed how the outcomes literally related to how that was going to affect those individuals. Would I follow these tips if I do not have a 501c3? If you are a nonprofit, you need a 501c3. I can't state that enough. I had a trucking company and trying to open another one, but I used my $40,000 to start the company and had to stop doing it from lack of money and my debt. Okay, so you have a trucking company, you're certainly eligible to seek grants as a small business based on what you're doing with the truck. What are you hauling? What other type of service do you provide? So you're absolutely. The key to matching yourself with the perfect funder is that grant search portal, right? And I go through all that. I show you all that when you buy the course. So I show you how you pull up, whether it's Grant Watch or Grant Station. I show you how you look at and put in details about, I'm a small business. I'm looking for funders that fund small businesses, that fund entrepreneurs. That literally can be your search. And whatever kind of business you have, whatever industry you're in, you can put all of those variables into your search engine. And sure enough, it will come up with a list of potential funders. Yes, you will absolutely have, yes, you will have a replay. Where do we go to ask for the grants? You go to the websites of the foundations. Can any grant funding be used to pay a grant consultant to help write a grant? Absolutely not. That is actually illegal. I'm going to say this again because thank you so much, Shirley, for asking the question. This is illegal in most states. You cannot use grant funding money to help pay your grant writer. It is illegal in most states, nor can the grant writer receive a percentage of your grant funds. That is not what the grant is for. Typically, that is made clear in the grant application. So no, you cannot. Yes, you can get a copy of the program. Everyone who registered will get a replay. I'm trying to get funding for a comic book series about HBCU culture. In a nutshell, I've been told it's a little difficult than grant writing or something tangible. Would I be able to get some tips geared towards that? So if you are, no, not necessarily, no. It's not necessarily more difficult because you are producing a product. You're a small owned business. So whether you're a service business or you provide some type of product, one isn't necessarily more difficult than the other. You have to align what you're doing to the mission of the funder, and that will make it easier. No, anyone cannot join the Facebook group. The Facebook group is just for students. How will I access the course info once you pay? So once you pay, you will immediately get an email asking you to create an account, your login name and your password, and you literally have immediate access. And the grant course starts off with module 1, which is an introduction to the entire course. It takes you through the entire course with a video and with narrative letting you know about every module, how to use the course, how to get the best out of the course. But again, I want to be clear about that. You don't buy the course and feel like you're alone. You will be able to come to the Facebook group, right? To ask any questions. That is important. Come to the Facebook group. You will also come to the live coaching, which is free, 1 hour a month, free live coaching. The next one is April 11th to ask any questions. Does this information apply to, I am not really familiar with 501c4s. I can tell you that most nonprofits are laser focused on the 501c3. Read the directions of the grant application and it will let you know whether or not you are going to be excluded because you're not a 501c3, but they're pretty strict about it being a 501c3. I'm starting a last mile delivery service and I was wondering if this program would be beneficial for me and my partner who is another Black female. I'm not sure what I'm assuming that a last mile delivery service is a service that just delivers within a mile. I think that's actually fantastic. It sounds wonderful. Certainly, I would absolutely ask you to proceed with grant writing for that. I'm a youth sports organization. Would this be helpful? There are so many youth organizations that receive grant money. I can't begin to tell you in the area of sports. So just quickly, for your youth sports organization, you have organizations like Nike, Adidas, Dick's Sporting Goods. They all have grants. They all provide not only grants, but free athletic wear for youth sports organizations. So that's actually a really great one for grants. Have you seen more grants for electric vehicles? I have not, but that does not mean that they're not available. This is where your grant search portal comes in because you're going to put in resources for electric vehicles. Keep in mind that you have automobile companies that have significant foundations like GM, like Ford. And so this may be of interest to them, but also if that's a for-profit business, you may also have organizations, venture organizations that provide seed money to businesses that provide these innovative concepts. would like to open a gym. Do I need a 501c3? The 501c3 is only if you are a nonprofit. You can certainly open up a gym as a for-profit. The 501c3 is only for nonprofits. Hi, I own a small business, healthcare, scrub store. Are there grants? There are certainly grants for startup stores, for healthcare stores. I drive for Instacart. Would I qualify for a grant? So that's not necessarily a business. So you're working for Instacart. If you were maybe wanting to develop your own delivery service, that would be a little different. Hi, my organization is based in Atlanta, but operates 2 African countries to promote and support education of underprivileged kids and refugees. How do I get grants, as most foundations fund only US nonprofits? So yes, most of the US organizations fund US nonprofits, but that does not mean that there are US foundations that absolutely fund organizations, that are based here, but also have operations in other countries. So this again is where you need to be really great at your grant research. And for that kind of an organization, I would recommend that you go through the Foundation Directory Center online, because they're the largest portal. They're going to have the most information for you. So Foundation Directory Center online, I think they're $50 a month, where you can do your grant research. So those are all of the questions in the Q&A. I'm going to go quickly to the chat and make sure that I have answered. Okay, here we are. All of the chats. So yes, the code is MAR 300 OFF. That is the code for the course. So I would absolutely recommend that you take the course. Again, it's $197. And I know people are thinking it's per month. It's not per month. It's one fee, but that's only because there's a relaunch of it with more information. So it'll be that rate for the next couple of days. And then it'll go back up to $497 for the last day of March. And then April 1st, it'll be back to $997. So this is your opportunity. I'm here to support you in the Facebook group. I'm here to support you in the free group coaching. There are other avenues to secure my support. I do one-on-one private coaching. We also review grant applications for a fee. We also create customized funders list for a fee, but you're getting everything you need and more to start in this course, including that list of 400 funders, which alone just by itself is worth $500. All right, so I'm going to just look quickly through the chat. Okay. Yes, you will absolutely get the replay, yes. All right, I'm just going through the chat and make sure I'm not skipping over any questions. All right. Yes, yes, somebody else is an Android fan like me. Yes. Yes, the recording will absolutely be available. All right, let me just double check to make sure. Okay, here we are. If we are a new nonprofit, how do we get past showing previous current funding? So you would just leave that blank. If you don't already have funding, you just leave that area. You leave the area blank. If you're new, that's fine. There are nonprofit foundations and organizations that will fund. They do it every day. They fund new organizations. It's really about making sure your mission is matching to the mission of the organization. If we are a nonprofit supporting women being released from prison, and we do Yoni Spa services separately with no business, can we incorporate the Yoni Spa into the nonprofit? Or should we do a separate LLC for the Yoni Spa? It depends on what you want to do. Only you can decide whether or not you want a nonprofit or an LLC. I can tell you the overwhelming amount of grant money is still for nonprofits. But there's so much grant money available for businesses as well. So I can't make that decision for you. Or have a nonprofit and a for-profit for the same business. So there are nonprofits so the umbrella is a nonprofit, but underneath, the umbrella is a for-profit, but underneath the for-profit, there is a nonprofit that they operate. So that is very possible. Okay. So everyone who has registered today will get information on upcoming grants as well. All right, so I'm going to the bottom here. Let me just see if there are any other questions. Scrolling to the end here, scrolling to the end. Yes, please, I want to be able to see everyone absolutely on April 11th in the free coaching session, because you will have purchased the course, you will have started. I do an orientation, plus if you're stuck, any questions you have. I want you to think of this as really a small payment to help secure the future of your nonprofit or your small business. It's $197. I don't want you to go past the 3 days and miss out on it, because that price is just not, that's what it is. It's for the 3 days only. And I don't want you to wait or think, oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow or the next day, and then you forget. It's so much better to just do it now. It's $197. You're getting literally, I apologize for my allergies, literally a $5,000 course for $197, but just for the next few days. Yes, the course is a mix of nonprofit and small businesses. You're going to be able to use it. The course, absolutely, whether you're a nonprofit or a small business, you will be able to use the course. People are using the course. So yes, all right. So you're in. I want to hear if you're in. $197. Do it now. Get it done. Start the course. It is self-paced. There is no end. And in the schedule, it will tell you, let's say you have 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week. It will tell you how long it's going to take you to get through the course based on your organization. So embedded into the course, there's a document. There's so many downloadables and printables, but one is a schedule that will tell you how long it's going to take to get through the course. You also have a goal planner. You have a grant tracker. So once you start applying for grants, you can track, who have I applied for? What am I waiting on? Do they need additional information? Literally $197 is everything you need. It's just everything you need. I don't want you to miss out on the coupon. So this is per course. So this is for one course. And no, the course is not to be shared. Just as if you were to enroll in any other course, in any other educational endeavor, any other online course, this is no different. You're paying for one course for yourself. So the course, how long is the course? It is 12 modules. It is 35 lessons within the modules, but it is self-paced. It is self-paced. Okay. Oh, great. Okay, just invested. All right. I'm going to just slaughter your first name, Aminola. I'm looking forward to seeing you April 11th. All right. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I want you guys to be ready. So if you're ready, I want you to put into the chat, I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. Like it's time to stop wondering about it or thinking about it. Grant writing is like this mysterious thing to so many people. They hear that there are grants out there and they don't know how to get them and they don't know what to do, this is your avenue. Like, this is it. I've been writing grants for almost 14 years. I have secured literally the $17 million. I know a little bit about this, okay? And this course is going to literally put this in your hands. And it's step by step. It's step by step. And as you saw in the testimonials, it's so easy to understand. I wrote it so that it would be really easy to understand. I get so many comments about people not knowing about grant writing, and they know the free money is out there, but they don't know how to get it. This will tell you how to get $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in grants, and really think about what you can do with that information. So will it include everything listed? Yes. So the 197, that's a great question, Janice. Everything I listed, you get for the 197. I haven't reduced anything. Yes, the course is normally $997. Everything you get in that $997 course, you get in the $197. I don't take anything out. That's why I want you to take advantage of it for the next 3 days before it goes back up to $997 April 1st. There's nothing being taken out. You're literally getting the same course. It'll just be higher because you're getting so much. Again, it's 12 modules and 35 lessons. Okay, how long do we have to access the course? Forever. There's no expiration date. And that's what's different from my course and some of the university courses, where you have the course for what, a month, 2 months, 3 months, and that's it, right? You're in the course, and after 3 months, that's it. There's no more courses, no more materials. You go in, again, I can't believe it's 197. You go in, and it's there. You will have everything you need, and you start, right? So maybe 1 week you spent 2 hours in there. Maybe the next week, life happens, you can't do it. I don't want you to have to worry about, oh my gosh, I'm under a timeline, I have to get all this in. It's yours forever. All right. All right, let me finish up. Yes, the value of the package is $4,997. And I was able to let you know what each component is. So for example, again, if you just want to speak to me personally, one-on-one, that's $200 an hour. And I'm giving you free coaching. You're getting the videos, the written narrative, right? The written course, the downloadables, the things that you're going to print out. And again, as you're writing, you're not writing for me, you're writing about your organization. When I ask you to write about your target market, you're writing about your target market. So you're doing this for you, literally for $197. This is for you to be able to say, okay, I'm ready. I can write a grant, bring it on. I can write a grant. I know how to write a grant. I'm ready to go get my $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 grant. Because people are doing it. They are doing this, and you can too. So if you want to hire a grant writer, this is really a great course. Even if you want to hire a grant writer, because what it will do, it will let you know what to look for. It will let you know the questions that grant writer should be asking you. So you can spend money hiring a grant writer. Fantastic. That's wonderful. But equip yourself with the knowledge of knowing what they should be asking. I hear horror stories about this, about people hiring a grant writer and they're doing nothing for them. They're not asking for the right information. They're not asking the right questions. Know what they should be asking for. Invest the $197 so that you know, okay, I'm going to hire a grant writer. But this will allow you with the knowledge to know what information I need to give to them. How are fees determined? It's based on experience. So if you're a new grant writer, A lot of new grant writers, they charge anywhere between maybe $25 to $50 an hour. Your, middle of the road, the ones with, maybe 5 years of experience and up, that's that $50 to $75 range. But if you're seasoned and you've written a lot of grants and you have a lot of grants secured and won, those are the grant writers that are charging $100 an hour and up. But ask the grant writer for their track record. There's nothing wrong with that. I own a cleaning company. Can I get this package for $197? Everyone can get the package for $197. Everyone right now. Oh my gosh, I really need to be clear about that. If you go to the link and you use the code, you can get the course right now for $197. You don't have to wait. It doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit or a for-profit or entrepreneur. Right now, I'm giving you the link so that you'll have the $300 coupon. Because if you go into the portal, you're going to see $497. But I'm giving you a coupon to literally take $300 off of the $497 price to bring it down to $197. So if you do it right now, yes, you'll get it. I'm opening up a daiquiri bar and a karaoke lounge. Sounds fun. And I've been getting denied for grants. Will this help? This will help because it will show you how you should be writing the grant. Something is amiss. Either you're not aligning to the person that's giving you the money, those mission statements, something is amiss. If you are a woman-owned business, helloalice.com. It is the greatest thing available for women-owned businesses. Free training. They have a portal with so many grant opportunities in helloalice.com just for women-owned businesses. Funding for wellness spas, absolutely. Absolutely, there's funding for wellness spas. Would a basic automotive and leadership program be helpful? I live in Baltimore City where I feel this will be beneficial to the urban population. I'm not sure what you say about the automotive, but leadership programs are great, right? I mean, they're one of the areas that typically get a lot of funding. It depends on your audience though, right? So again, that's where you do your research. So again, in that grant portal, when you're searching for a grant funder, you have to put in what your area of interest is. So once you buy the course, you also get the previous free grant coaching sessions. And in one grant coaching session, one of the free grant coaching sessions, I did a demonstration where I went in and I put all of this information into one of the grant portals, and literally like over 200 grant opportunities came up. I showed you how to specifically use some of the grant search engines. So you get that when you buy the course. Oh, great. Your 501c3 is approved. Excellent. Excellent, 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 excellent. Okay, I think oh, excellent. Thank you, Jocelyn. So Jocelyn is joining, absolutely. As an S Corp and having multiple businesses, am I able to be considered nonprofit for some of it? Yes, so you can create a 501c3 nonprofit within your corporation. Yes, that can be done. Assisted living, absolutely. There are grants for assisted living. I don't have a fee list right now. I don't write grants anymore, but there are other services that we offer. For example, we do review grants. I'm going to put my assistant's email right into the chat. And then this is also our website. So you can ask additional information by contacting my assistant. But yes, we do have rates for additional services where again, we do review grants. We provide customized grant list. Okay, I just want to finish up with the last few questions. Are there any grants for cosmetics because my daughter is starting her business at 8 years old? Oh, how precious. Where do I start? I sign up for your training as well. Can you please get a 1-0? So yes, I'm glad she mentioned that because I didn't. And this is like a bonus. When you sign up for the class, you will get a pop-up where you will get 50% off of my one-on-ones. Like my one-on-ones are normally $200 an hour. But when you buy the course for $197, a pop-up will come on the screen where you can get my one-on-one for $125. Like it's this crazy deal. So yes, you can buy the course and you can get the one-on-one with me. Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Miss Happy. Oh, Miss Happy, thank you. How do you determine the type of business LLC to start? I would go to an attorney or an accountant for that. Absolutely. Are there any grants? Okay, so yes, I answered that one. So we are, oh, great, signed up. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So at the end of the course, you do get a certificate saying that you completed the grant writing course. This is not a CFRE, quote unquote, certified course, but you do get a certificate indicating that you have completed this grant writing course. Absolutely. And you can certainly use that certificate if you want to put it down on your resume or for whatever reasons. Yes, you will get a certificate. All right, I'm ready. Yes, this is what I want to see. I want to see everybody in the course, in the Facebook group, in the free training, right? The free training where I'm in there. It's going to be an hour, April 11th. I want to see your faces. I want you to come. I want you to introduce your organization. It is a community. It is fantastic. There are organizations in there that are literally getting together and helping each other out to get these grants. So, oh, the community is unbelievable. You don't want to miss out. So I know a couple of financial organizations have gotten together to try to help each other through the process. It's fantastic because you do not have to do this alone. If I say nothing else, let me say that you do not have to do this alone. Okay. I'm going to be there. I'm not one of those founders that I disappear right after you buy the course. No, I am in the free group training. I provide the free group training. So you're going to be asking me the questions, right? And I'm going to be helping you. And again, in the course, when you go lesson by lesson, there's an opportunity for those discussion starters. So you can write your question right into the lesson and I will go in and answer it. I think we are just about to the end. Are other courses needed to succeed, or will this is it? This course is it. 12 modules, 35 lessons. It's soup to nuts. It's before the grant, what you need to know before you ever write one grant. It's a writing lesson so that you can write better. It's a storytelling lesson. It's every part of the grant application. Literally, I teach you how to write. It's what you do after the grant. So by the time you're done, you're ready to write grants. So, and I don't stop there. I give you a list of 400 funders. Like it's $5,000 worth of materials that for the next 3 days you're getting for $197. I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. I just don't want you to miss out. I don't want anybody on April 1st to think it's an April Fool and they go to the course and it's $997. I don't want you to be mad at me. Oh, Farrah Fryer, thank you. She says, I am currently taking the course. It's phenomenal. The courses are bite sizes, easy to follow, and incredible resources. Oh, Farrah, thank you. This is what I really want people to understand because people are scared of the idea of this grant writing. You don't have to be. It's bite sizes. It really is. It is, oh, Farah, thank you for saying that. It's little chunks, right? That get you from A to B, another little chunk that gets you to C, another little chunk that gets you to D, and you keep moving through. And at the end, you've written a grant. You're ready. You're ready now. Once you get and you start searching for the grant and you get the grant application, know that you have to write to that grant. But you have a template of your organization. So don't you need that? Don't you need written out in a document your history, why you started, your target population, what problem you're trying to resolve, how you're making something better, how you are addressing an issue, what you're going to use the money for, your organizational budget, how you want to change the world with your organization, what you want to do, right, in order to try to create partnerships. Don't you want to learn how to partner with your community organizations? Don't you want to know how to partner with these very old and well-respected organizations? You get all of that. This is only to benefit you. And I keep stressing the $197 because it's such a small amount. The course is valued at $5,000 because this is what I've been doing literally for 14 years. And I'm a master grant writer and I know what I'm doing. And I'm just trying to empower you to spend a little bit of money to really try to secure your future without fear. Without fear. This course takes away the fear. So again, Farah, thank you so much for saying that. You purchased a course and have not started. Is there a time to complete it? No, it's self-pacing is forever. It's fantastic. There's no expiration date. Are there grants for daycare centers in Illinois? Yes. Can you please say the website for women-owned businesses? helloalice.com. I'm going to put in here really quick, but you're going to get a replay, but it is called helloalice.com. Let me just make sure. I think I'm getting down to the end here. I always commit to answering, every single question. So yes, it's more than 50% off. The course is $997. It's $497 for the month of March because it's Women's History Month, and I wanted to celebrate the course for Women's History Month. But because you came to the webinar, you're getting an additional $300 off. So that's why it's $197, right? When you go into the course, it'll be that 50% off price for $497, but you have to use the coupon. What if we are not great at storytelling? I'm glad you asked that. I have a lesson in the course on storytelling. So don't worry about that. I literally have a course in the lesson that teaches you how to tell your story. This is why I take the fear out of it. I know there's a fear of grant writing. I don't have a fear because I've been doing it for over a decade, but I can show you how to do it to take the fear out of it. All right, I think, what's the name of the Facebook group? So after you join as a student, I give you the link to the Facebook group. The Facebook group is only for students. So the April 11th is the free, that is the free webinar. That is the free grant coaching webinar. When you sign up for the course, you will get a link to the April 11th course, so don't worry about it. You will get a link to the April 11th webinar. That's the free webinar for all students. So you will get that. When you sign up, you'll get the grant writing. You'll get the Facebook group link, and you'll get the Zoom link to the free grant coaching webinar session. You'll get them both as soon as you sign up. Janice, is there a pass or fail to complete? No, there's not a pass or fail to complete. So with the quizzes, they will tell you what you got right and what you got wrong, because at the end of the day, this is not for me to make this hard. I want you to learn the material. And so the quizzes are to make sure that you understand what I just talked about so that you can write a better grant. So no, there's no pass or fail to complete. That's pressure you don't need. Hi, Lawana. Congratulations. Lawana just joined. I will see you April 11th. Selena, hopefully you'll push that button and I'll see you April 11th. And yes, it is me. I don't send in anyone else. It is me. Yes, it is scary. I was never a good test taker. Oh, they're fun quizzes. They are actually fun quizzes. So you don't have to worry about that. They're fun quizzes. Okay, I think we're at the bottom of the Q&A. And I know we've gone long, but again, the links are not working for me. That was emailed to me. My links are not working. That was emailed to me. So send me an email. Send me an email to this email address, and we will take care of that right after the webinar. And also, some people forget to put in the code or they don't put it in right. So if for any reason you were charged $497, send me an email and we will immediately refund you the $300. Immediately, you'll get the $300 back. So don't worry if you didn't do something right. Thank you again for your time and bountiful information. We'll definitely be signing up. Yes, do it now before you forget. Do it now before you forget. I'm going to say bye to everyone. I've answered all of the questions, which I promised to do. Let me make sure there wasn't a few more. Yeah, that was it. That was it. So again, if we could have into the chat, right? So that's the link to the course, the coupon code. I hope to see everyone, April 11th. This is a community effort. We help each other so that you benefit, right? So that you get this grant money. I want to see you stop bootstrapping, stop worrying about where am I going to get money from. You can get $20, $30, $50, $100,000 grants. People are doing it. Mm-hmm. I take the fear out of it and we are ready to go. All right. So thank you so much. Let me just make sure that was my IT person. I think we are, all right. We are good to go. So thank you, everyone. Keep in mind, you will get a recording of the replay. You will get a recording of the replay. So coupon code MAR300OFF. I want to see everybody. April 11th is at 7 p.m. But again, even if you can't make it, I believe in replays. I want you to have the information. That's more important. You'll get a replay. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Have a blessed weekend. Have a safe weekend. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Again, I'm Linda Peavy, the owner of LaPav Consulting. The course is Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys to Winning Grant Proposals. Come with me. Let me take you on this journey to fund your organization. You can do this. You can do this, people. All right. Thank you so much. And I will hopefully see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.